Ladies and gentlemen, we need to acknowledge something before we get going here. Can we acknowledge the fact that Will Smith is a big deal? I mean, he is. A few weeks ago, I did a review on a movie that starred Dwayne Johnson, and I talked about him being one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. And he is. But if we're having a conversation about the bankable stars of Hollywood, we need to include Will Smith in it. It's kind of bad if we don't, and that was my bad. I was like, oh, Dwayne Johnson's so great, and he is. But then I forgot about Will. How could I forget about Will? I mean, maybe because he's been doing some more serious drama pieces lately, like Gemini Man and things like Concussion. And of course, we talk about him in Ali and Pursuit of Happiness and all this serious stuff. But let's also not forget movies like Independence Day, where he's like saving the world. Will Smith is extremely bankable. Now, aside from box office success, I've just got tremendous respect for his career. A career that started with him rapping catchy tunes like Parents Just Don't Understand, Into Will 2K, Summertime. I could go over his whole discography. You know the hits. But then on top of that, he parlayed that into a television career with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then, of course, transition into film. Will Smith, ... big deal. We can agree, right? Now, I'm telling you all of this to remind you, because I don't think we talk about Will Smith a lot, because he isn't always putting out things. Sometimes he takes a bit of a break. But I'm reminding you of this because next year when I predict he gets nominated for an Oscar, you can come back to this review and say, yeah, Keith called it. So as we talk about his new movie, King Richard, he just reminds us that, yes, he can do action, but he can also do drama extremely well. In this movie, he plays Richard, and Richard is a father of 5 daughters. Married, 5 daughters. I mean, this is crazy. He's living in like the estrogen ocean. Good for him. And he is a driven parent. He's a parent that is driven to make sure that his kids have the absolute best tools to succeed in life. And he pushes them to be strong educationally. He pushes them to be humble. He pushes them to have respect, to have self-respect. Him and his wife seem to be doing a very good job with these kids. I mean, we've got one daughter who's on her way to becoming a valedictorian, another daughter who's on her way to becoming a doctor, and he's got 2 of his daughters who he's really pushing into tennis. He wants them to excel in tennis. He wants them to be the best tennis players in the world. He's got a plan. I mean, if you meet Richard, he's going to give you a brochure that lays out the plan. And he might know what he's talking about because his daughters go by the names of Venus and Serena Williams. Now, this is a very entertaining movie, ladies and gentlemen, because usually when you're seeing a biopic, if you will, and of course we're talking about the phenoms that are the Williams sisters, it would be from their point of view. You would get to know Venus and Serena, what it was like for them going to school, maybe their first crushes, whatever. But this is really told from his point of view, but they are very much in a focus in the film. They're very much present. But we're seeing it from a different point of view. We're seeing it from his point of view. Now, one of the geniuses of this role is the fact that he takes you on, Will Smith that is, takes you on an emotional roller coaster with his performance. Because there are times where you're cheering him on. You're like, yeah, you're like this amazingly supportive dad who's doing his best for his kids. But then it's like, man, you're so stubborn. You're so frustrating at times. And I feel when an actor can take you on that emotional roller coaster, they're doing their job. Now, it's interesting because you look at different qualities that you might like in a human being. You might like a sense of humor. You might like somebody who's driven. Stubborn really never gets into that top 5. I've never come across a human being in my life who's ever said, I want to meet somebody or hang out with somebody who's really stubborn. It's just not one of those things. But then you also sit back and you think to yourself, well, we know how the story ends, so maybe he was onto something. Now, like the Titanic, you know that at the end of the day that the boat is going to sink, but the movie is still extremely entertaining. You know that these 2 young women are going to go on to be the absolute best in their craft. But the story, the backstory is what makes this really compelling because how did they get there? What did they have to overcome? Growing up in Compton, California wasn't easy to the point where you think to yourself, this is the same neighborhood that produced NWA. And of course, we go back to that movie Straight Outta Compton from years ago. The statistics and the odds are against their success, but they found a way to do it. And understanding what they had to do makes the story all the more interesting. I think having this from the point of view of the father lends something different to it. So it's just not another type of biopic, but I think it makes the film a lot more compelling. A lot of times people ask me, well, Keith, Black History Month is coming up. What are some different movies you can recommend? And of course, there's always going to be the titles like looking at some of the different biopics on Nelson Mandela and Malcolm X. And of course, the wonderful story of Hidden Figures not too long ago. But there are also some more recent films that I think need to be added to the list. Movies like Straight Outta Compton, seeing what those individuals overcame and the success that they had. Movies like Black Panther. But I'm also going to add in King Richard to that list as well. I'm not saying wait till February to watch it. Watch it now. This is a very entertaining movie, but it's also a movie that I think that provides a lot of inspiration and provides a backstory on two women who deserve nothing but respect for beating the odds and becoming the best in their craft. I give this movie a B+. Very excited about it. Very excited to see Will Smith in another role that just again reinforces and reminds us of what a fantastic actor he is. I will also give a shout out to supporting actor in this, John Benthal, who a lot of people will know from a lot of his different roles, but I think Walking Dead is probably one that stands out from the rest. Fantastic supporting performance in this movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think you'll enjoy it too, and I can't wait to hear what you think. Once you see this movie, you know what to do. Dial me up, CFL_fan on Twitter, Facebook.com/WittyWhittier and WittyWhittier.com. Thank you so much for checking this out. My name is Keith, and I'll see you at the movies.